I specifically told him. No,
there it is.
I don't know what in life happened to make you think that this wasn't gonna happen. I don't know what the bro do to not be able to see that this was gonna happen. So where's the surprise at? I'm sure why were you surprised?
Next week. Next it's running block.
They keep stacking. This shit is second nature, you feel?
Shedeur Sanders made history yesterday, and the excitement was electric. Fans, analysts, and even Shedeur himself couldn't hide their joy. But the reaction that truly turned heads came from Dion Sanders Jr. His response wasn't a cheer or a celebration, it was a simple but powerful question. Why are you all so surprised? That one line spoke volumes. His tone carried the quiet confidence of someone who had always believed this moment would come. For him, Shedeur's success wasn't a shock. It was the natural result of hard work, discipline, and never letting the hype make him comfortable. And before we dive deeper into Shedeur's journey, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because every bit of support counts in keeping the momentum going for Shedeur. And look, Dion Jr. was right. Shedeur Sanders wasn't acting like a man overwhelmed by the moment. There was no wide-eyed shock, no over-the-top celebration, just pure focus. Even at the quarter break, when most players might be catching their breath or soaking in the crowd, Shedeur simply said, "I'm warmed up." That's it. No drama, no nerves, just a quiet statement that he was ready for more. It was the kind of calm confidence you only see in athletes who know they belong on that stage. Ocho Cinco also jumped into the conversation, echoing that same sentiment. He pointed out that what Shedeur did on the field was nothing new. It was exactly what he'd been doing back in college. Calm under pressure, reading the defense with precision, and delivering pinpoint throws even from deep inside the huddle. Ocho emphasized that this wasn't some overnight transformation. It was the same Shedeur Sanders who dominated at Colorado Buffaloes, just now doing it on the biggest stage. In his eyes, this was proof that greatness wasn't a surprise. It was simply continuing its natural course.
If you watch film, what did you expect him to look like?
Mm-hmm.
He looked exactly like he looked in Colorado. He looked exactly like he looked at Jackson State. Calm under pressure, in the pocket, going through progressions, making the right throws.
Ocho then went off on the haters, saying you can already predict their next move. They'll try to downplay it by saying, "Yeah, but he did it against the Panthers' second team." What they'll conveniently forget, Ocho pointed out, is that Shedeur himself wasn't even playing with his full first-team squad. He was out there with the 2s and 3s, yet still delivered this kind of performance. And if he had been surrounded by his primary starters, Ocho hinted the numbers would have been even more dangerous. He reminded everyone that David Njoku was on the field, and that alone changes the dynamic. In Ocho's eyes, the critics can try all they want, but they can't erase what this young quarterback just pulled off.
They're going to move the goalpost and say, well, he wasn't going against the Panther starters. Well, obviously, if he's not going against the Panther starters, or if he doesn't have his starters as well, and what he has at his disposal and look that good with the 2s and 3s, and maybe the 4s that are trying to make the team, what do you think is going to happen when he has the main characters in there around him?
Right.
That makes your job a little bit easier. That are a little bit better at their position than those that he's playing with tonight. What you think gonna happen?
Skip Bayless then lit up the conversation with a bold and unapologetic take. He said Shedeur Sanders didn't just make history, he flat-out shamed every single NFL team that passed on him, especially the Cleveland Browns, who saw him less as a starting quarterback and more as a marketing tool. Skip didn't hold back, claiming all that draft drama wasn't just random noise, it was a calculated distraction meant to drag down both Shedeur and his father. But instead of folding under the weight of that pressure, Shedeur turned it into fuel. He walked onto that field and proved that talent, discipline, and unshakable belief can't be denied. For Skip, this wasn't just another debut. It was Shedeur Sanders sending a loud, clear message. He's here to change the game, rewrite the narrative, and silence every critic for good.
Shedeur Sanders made all those teams that had 143 chances to draft him before he went 144th. He shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in the 5th round. I'm convinced only because the owner, the publicity-starved owner, just wanted some more shock value publicity. Oh, we took him.
This time, even Kevin Stefanski couldn't hide his excitement. Every time Shedeur worked his magic on the field, the coach's grin gave it away. After the game, Stefanski addressed the media and made it clear. Shedeur's leadership was on full display. He said Sanders didn't just play well, he led the entire team with a presence that made an impact from the first snap to the final whistle. While Stefanski credited the whole squad for the performance, he also emphasized there's still room to grow and that their focus now is on sharpening every detail. Coming from a coach who's not quick to overhype players, this was a strong vote of confidence.
Yeah, pleased with Shedeur, pleased with the offense. Again, not perfect, plenty that we can work on, but I thought the guys did a really nice job of Shedeur and operating, the guys making plays. So, again, a ton to teach off of.
Even with all the praise, Stefanski stopped short of officially naming Shedeur the undisputed starter. A move that raised eyebrows. We all know why. There are bigger forces at work in this league: racism, politics, and the quiet power plays that have held players like Shedeur back for years. But the truth is, they can't keep this wall up forever, not when a player this good is rising right in front of their eyes. Shedeur's combination of skill, focus, and relentless drive is too big to be ignored, and sooner or later, the league will have no choice but to acknowledge that a new era has begun. Through it all, Shedeur never let the noise get to him. No flashy dances, no over-the-top chest thumping, just humility and focus. In his post-game interview, he kept it as real as his performance on the field. He talked about how the best part of being a quarterback is leading the team, and for him, it all comes down to one thing: consistency. That's exactly what they showed, staying composed, fighting through early setbacks, and finding a way to win. This wasn't just another victory, it was proof of resilience, unity, and leadership. And Shedeur Sanders was the one steering that ship.
The important thing of being a quarterback is leading your team. I'll say definitely the scoreboard. I think we did that pretty good. And just, just being consistent, even though if things going our way or not going our way, being able to bounce back and not stay in the hole. Being a quarterback is going to be ups, downs, it's going to be pros, cons, everything. So you just got to stay level-headed through it.
Emmanuel Acho delivered one of the sharpest breakdowns of Shedeur Sanders' performance. He highlighted how Shedeur's composure never cracked, even when the defense closed in. Instead of panicking, Shedeur slid away from pressure, navigated the pocket with precision, and made plays that most rookies wouldn't even attempt. Acho stressed that this wasn't just about throwing darts downfield. Shedeur proved he's a complete quarterback. He can beat you with his arm, punish you with his legs, and outthink you with his reads. That versatility is exactly why the buzz around him is growing louder by the day.
Let's talk to the tape. It's 3rd and 9. They're going to come with the 5-man pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-man pressure. They're going to play man across the board. Hey, if defense is playing man-to-man, they're turning their back. Shedeur Sanders, he identifies the defense is in man-to-man coverage, so nobody is watching him. He also identifies the defense does not have contain. He escapes out the pocket. On 3rd and 9, he picks up the first down. He slides down to safety. Check for Shedeur Sanders. Let's keep it rolling.
Shedeur Sanders' debut was more than just a great game. It was the birth of a new storyline in the NFL. From Dion Sanders Jr.'s confident, "Why are you all so surprised?" to Ocho Cinco's fiery defense against the critics, it's clear that those closest to Shedeur never saw this as a fluke. They knew this was coming. Ocho reminded everyone that Shedeur wasn't even playing with his full starting squad, yet still delivered in a way that left the Panthers with no answers. Skip Bayless turned up the volume, saying Shedeur shamed every team that passed on him, especially the Browns, who undervalued him from the start. Even Kevin Stefanski, while cautious about declaring him the undisputed starter, couldn't hide his pride in the young quarterback's leadership and impact. The undercurrent in all of this is undeniable. There are still political and racial forces in the league that can try to slow Shedeur's rise. But as his performance showed, they won't be able to hold him back for long. His calm, humble approach off the field and his laser-focused consistency on it make him exactly the kind of leader teams dream about. He's not just playing to prove people wrong, he's playing to set a new standard. Emmanuel Acho's breakdown brought it all into focus. Shedeur isn't just a passer. He's a complete quarterback who can adapt, create, and dominate in multiple ways. Defenses can't prepare for just one style of play because he'll beat you however he needs to. That's what makes him dangerous, and that's what makes this debut so significant. This wasn't just a rookie making a splash, it was the start of something much bigger, a statement that Shedeur Sanders is here, he's real, and he's about to change the game. So what about you? Do you think this game was the start of a legendary career, or was it just one great performance in a long season? Do you agree with Dion Jr., Ocho Cinco, and Skip Bayless that Shedeur's success was inevitable, or do you think there's still more he needs to prove before being called the future of the league? And what about the politics and pressure in the NFL? Will they try to hold him back, or has he already broken through that wall? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's hear where you stand on Shedeur Sanders' rise.